So welcome back to Where Do I Start? We are now in episode number 10. We've done Delta, we've done Theta. We are now going to turn our attention to the next Greek that we look at when it comes to daily regular analysis, and that's going to be Vega. Now, as I'm going to get into in the next couple of minutes, the next 15, 20 minutes, what have you, we don't look at this nearly as much as we look at a Delta or a Theta, but it's very important to understand what's happening with option Vega for a couple of reasons. Number one, volatility has a very, very significant impact on what you're trying to do as an options trader, regardless of which side of the contract that you might be on. And number two, remember, there are three ways to make money as an options trader with an options position. There's direction, there's time, and there's volatility. Well, there's direction, that's Delta. There's time, that's Theta. And then there's volatility, which is Vega. And that's what we want to talk about here in this episode. So what is Vega? Well, again, this is going to be number 3. It's behind Delta. It's behind Theta. When it comes to our regular analysis, our regular monitoring, this is not going to be in the top 2. We're certainly looking at Delta and Theta a lot more. We're not looking at Vega with trade entry. We're not even really looking at Vega from a position analysis standpoint. It's just something we kind of want to be aware of in the background because of all the different metrics and the ratios that we're going to get into later in this series. Those kinds of things and that type of analysis really kind of does all that we need it to do to take care of our Vega exposure for us. But what is Vega? So Vega measures how is the option price expected to change for a 1-point move in the implied volatility of that stock, so of that specific stock that is the underlying instrument on that option contract. Okay, so when you're looking at Vega, always view Vega on a per share basis. This is going to make your life a lot simpler because when you're looking at an options quote, you're looking at the actual options price. That is on a per share basis already. So when I look at Vega, if I keep that also on a per share basis, they're going to have the same convention. So for example, if I have a Vega of 10, that is telling me that every 1-point move in the implied volatility of that stock is going to lead to a 10-cent change in that options price. If the Vega were 20, that tells me now a 1-point move in implied volatility is going to lead to a 20-cent move in the options price, and so on and so forth. And keep in mind, all of these, understandings and all these metrics that we're looking at are always within the ceteris paribus assumption. So we're assuming that everything else in the market is held constant. We're assuming that nothing else in the market is changing, which we know, of course, is not going to be the case. But for just understanding what is happening with Vega, it's a very, very helpful assumption to make. Okay, so now let's turn our attention to option buyers and option sellers, very similar to what we did with Theta in the previous episode. So option buyers are always going to have positive Vega. They're going to have positive Vega because essentially implied volatility rising helps them. Because implied volatility and market prices, or option prices I should say, implied volatility and option prices always move together. They're always going to follow each other. When implied volatility goes up, option prices go up. And when implied volatility goes down, option prices go down. So if you think about an option buyer and what he or she wants to happen, doesn't matter if it's a call or a put, it's going to be the same. They want that option price to rise. They want that option price to increase. So anything that's going to cause that to happen is going to be welcomed by them. It's going to be beneficial to them. So when you think about implied volatility, you think about option prices. If implied volatility rises and option prices rise, that's good for the option buyer. If implied volatility falls and option prices fall, that's bad for the option buyer. So for example, going back to the 2 Vega examples that we had on the previous slide, let's say the Vega of a given option is 10 and the entry price is $3. If implied volatility were to expand by 2 points in that stock, then the option price would rise to $3.20. But then let's say implied volatility actually falls by 3 points. Now the option price is going to go down by 30 cents because again, at a Vega of 10, that's 10 cents per point. So if it falls by 3 points, that's going to be a 30-cent option price change as a result of implied volatility. And if the Vega were 20 in our second example, now I have an entry price of $4.50. If implied volatility rises by 2, then the option price can be expected to rise up to $4.90. And then if it falls by 3, it's going to fall down to $4.30. 20 cents per point for 3 points. And all this can happen within the same day. It doesn't have to happen over a period of days. It doesn't have to happen over a period of weeks. It could do that, of course. But in a market that is wildly moving and quite chaotic, this can all happen in just a couple of hours. Okay, so now let's turn to the option sellers. Option sellers are said to have negative Vega, and they're said to have negative Vega because rising volatility now helps them. So they don't want volatility to rise, they want volatility to fall. Volatility's impact on the option price is no different. The way that volatility changing is going to change the option price is exactly the same that we saw with an option buyer, but now as a seller, I want the opposite thing to happen for me. I want the option price to go down. I want the option price to decrease. So anything that's going to push the option price higher is going to be working against me, and it's not going to be beneficial for me. So if implied volatility does rise and the option price rises, that's going to be bad for me as an option seller because I'm negative Vega. If implied volatility falls and the option prices fall, that's going to be good for me because, again, I'm the option seller. I want the prices to go down. So using the same two examples we had in the previous two slides, if I have a Vega of 10 and the entry price is $3, if implied volatility expands to 320, now this is bad for me because I'm the option seller. But if it then falls by 3 points and the option price drops to $2.90, that's going to be good for me. So I'm on the other side of the fence. I'm on the other side of the contract. If the Vega were 20, in the second example, my entry price on the option position is $4.50. Implied volatility expanding by 2 points sends the options price up to $4.90. That's not good. But then if implied volatility goes down by 3 points, the option price falls as well, down to $4.30. And that will be good for me. So now let's hop into Tasty Trade and let's take a look at some live Vegas on real stocks with real prices. Okay, so here I am inside of my Tasty Trade platform, and I've got SpaceX pulled up because this guy just IPO'd a couple of days ago. Everybody's excited. It's already like shot through the moon by like 60-70% in just a few days. So let's take a look at the options chain for SpaceX since it just came online literally today. So if I open up the July options, you can see that I have right now my drop-down menus or my drop-down variables, I should say, are delta and implied volatility. Let me change implied volatility to Vega. You can see that guy right there. And that's going to tell me what is the Vega for that option. So for instance, if I take a look at this 200 strike put, I can see that my Vega is 23. Now again, remember that's 23 cents. So when you look at this put that's selling for $22, that is telling me that for every 1 point that the implied volatility in SpaceX changes, and here's the implied volatility up there, for every 1 percentage point that changes, so 123 to 122 or 123 to 124, I can expect the option price to move by 23 cents. Or if I were to look at a 170 put, now my Vega is 18. So now the option price can be expected to move by 18 cents for every 1 point move in the implied volatility. And then if I go on the call side, I'm going to see essentially the same relationship from the standpoint of I can look at a 230 call. You can see the Vega here is 25. So that's a 25-cent move on this option price for every 1 point move in that same implied volatility up here. Or I look at the 250 call, that has a Vega of 24. So not too different. So now I have a 24-cent move for every 1 point move in the implied volatility. So one of the things that we want to understand is when it comes to looking at Vega across one singular option chain, there is one relationship that always holds true. When you look at Vega, you will see that the at-the-money strikes, so for our purposes, that would be these strikes essentially right here, are going to command the highest Vega. Give or take, it might be off by just a tiny, tiny bit because we need to remember that the markets are a living and breathing thing. This is not a textbook. This is not the ivory tower. This is not just a math equation. This is a living and breathing thing that's based off of real demand and real supply. And we see the same thing essentially on this side. And so the highest Vega levels are found right at the money or very close to the at the money strikes. You will always see this relationship inside of a given option chain. And then the other thing that we want to understand is that Vega is always higher for longer dated options. That tells me that volatility can impact the prices of longer dated options more significantly than shorter dated options. So for instance, if I were to look at this 175 put that has a Vega of 19 in this July cycle with 31 days to go, if I minimize this cycle, let me delete that so the circles go away. If I go to the August cycle, and I take a look at the same strike and the same option, the 175, now my Vega is up to 29. So I see a greater Vega with more time to go, with more DTE. Let's look at the 170 strike. Let's go out even another cycle and take a look at this. So if I minimize August, if I open up September, you're going to see that now the 175 strike has an even higher Vega. So now I am all the way up to a 35 Vega. So the Vegas are higher for greater DTE, longer dated cycles. That tells me that volatility is impacting the prices of those options more significantly than the shorter term cycles. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense. And when we get into some of the strategy building and creation of some of the strategies we're going to look at, especially things like calendar spreads and diagonal spreads and things of that nature, you're going to see how important it is to understand and remember that Vega relationship across the option chain and that Vega relationship from one cycle to the next. But again, at the end of the day, we're not looking at Vega too granularly, at least not relative to what we do with Delta and Theta. But now, hopefully, we understand, all right, when volatility moves, here is where I can reasonably expect the option price to do based on the Vega of that strike or based on the Vega of my position. And that is it for Vega. That's it for episode number 10. And I'll see you guys in the next one.